What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of The Play Callers. This is the most hyped up, interactive hour of sports talk on the internet every Friday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, your boy Steven Box, joined by my co-host, the one and the only.
As always, Cool McCain.
So cool, man. Bruh, we gotta talk a little bit NBA, possibly for the last time. Uh,
Possibly.
we got the WNBA. They finished up their season. We crowned a champion over there, so we have to talk about that a little bit.
Definitely.
MLB's jumping into full swing. We almost know the four teams who are going to be competing for those two spots in the World Series. So we'll be talking a
Yep.
little bit about that. And man, if you can tell me who's playing on what day in the NFL this week, you deserve a hand because you are an amazing person. So
well, we know
what,
what it is so far, but you never know because I hear the Jets player, tested positive too, so there could be some more schedule switching,
yeah,
kind of like
they
what happened to us after we were on last week.
Yeah, they actually sent them home from practice today. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens with that. We've already had a couple games get moved around, so could be interesting to see. If you are tuning in with us live, make sure that you hit the subscribe button down in the bottom right hand corner if you've not already done so. Also, if you have any questions, comments, things you want to hear about during the show, drop those in the comments. We love to interact with our fans. That's one of the things that makes our show a little bit different. So, without
Yep.
further ado, cool. Before the tip off here at 9 o'clock, let's talk NBA, man. And as far as I'm concerned, there's three things really to even discuss with this series right now because we've talked about it already, and that is, A, does LA close out tonight? B, if they don't close out tonight, does Miami have any chance of coming back and winning the series? And C, what does Miami have to do differently than what they've been doing to make that happen?
So I'll take the questions in order. One, I say it's about a 50-50 chance. Two, no. Three, they're going to have to figure out a way to get Lennox and Bam on the floor together because what I saw game two and game three when they were playing well, unfortunately, Bam was out. But Lennox stepped in, put up a lot of points, and played well. So they need that in the lineup because you need a big on your team who can actually score buckets that has some size to counteract kind of the lineups the Lakers are putting out there. So that's one thing that they're going to have to do. Another thing, they have to shoot well from the three-point line in order for Miami to win this game or have any small hope of winning the series, because as long as the series is still going on, realistically, you have at least some hope. But in order for them to win even tonight, they have to shoot well. And when I say shoot well, I mean they have to shoot about 40 to 50% from the three. That's their calling card. They haven't really done that in the series, and that's kind of like where they're at right now. So, those are two of the things I think they need to do, as well as they need to rebound well. And if they're going to play their zone, which they're going to go to at some point in the game, they do it every game, they're going to have to switch quickly and they're going to have to close out hard and fast. So that's what I think Miami would need to do to win even tonight.
So I'll give my thoughts on those here in a second. But one of the questions I want to ask is, what does LA need to do tonight, in your opinion, to close this out? What's it going to take?
Honestly, if I were LA, I would attack everything the same way I did in game four, to be 100% honest. LeBron will come out, um, do his thing. Maybe, well, actually, let me recant this slightly. I do what LA wanted to do in game four. It didn't quite work out for him, but you want to have a strong performance from LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Yep.
Other guys stepping up like Ken Pope did last game. You expect someone to do that. So you want to have that. You want them to get established early because that helps. But you want LeBron and Anthony Davis to come out, killer instinct, ready to close this series and not take it another game. no hope of a comeback, no hope of another game being won by Miami. If you're LA, you want to close out, you want to come out aggressive, you want to stick with the game plan inside, switch it out. Sometimes Davis at the five, sometimes you bring in Dwight Howard at the five. You just want to keep kind of doing that. It's been
Yeah.
working, so you don't want to change that. Just hope you shoot well because LA does need to shoot well.
Yeah.
That's something that I think a lot of people have kind of pushed to the side. LA has to shoot well as well to win the games. You're not going to beat this Miami team as many threes as they shoot unless you can make some yourself. So that's also another point. But I think LA, if they do essentially what they did in Game 4, they're giving themselves a good chance to win tonight.
Yeah. For me, I do think LA closes out, if for no other reason than the fact that I predicted on the show that we did right after Game One, which was the first time we had a chance to talk about this series. I did predict the Lakers in five, so I'm going to stick with my original prediction. Also, I did tell you the other day that I expected to lose Game Three or Four. Figured it would probably be Game Three. LA winning the other of those two. And then I said they'll come out in the Mamba jerseys in Game Five to win the title wearing the Mamba jerseys, which they have yet to lose in. So I think that's just a little extra incentive for them to come out. They are in fact wearing the Mamba jerseys tonight. They originally weren't going to wear them into Game Seven. Should it get that far, they will wear them again for Game Seven. But I'm going to say that in order for Miami to even have a chance to stay in the series, there's a couple of things I feel like they have to do, and one of them is the big one that you already mentioned, is they have to try to find a way to get more bigs onto the floor at the same time. Because you even said the other night after Game Four, when we talked the next day, you like, bruh, they actually played worse with Bam. And the thing is, they had developed this chemistry, and they found somebody who, while he didn't, by any means shut Anthony Davis down or anything like that, he did help to neutralize the size advantage a little bit, and he was able to stretch the floor and give them some points. Bam's not giving them those same quality minutes. He might be a little bit better defensively, but they're losing something on the offensive end. And without can't even think of his name right now. Their point guard, Dragic. Without him out there, man, they're pretty much depending on Jimmy Butler to carry the offense. And LA made a concerted effort in Game Four to not let Jimmy Butler go off, and they were able to successfully do that. And a big part of why I think he went off in Game Three was Anthony Davis got in foul trouble. So if Anthony Davis can stay out of foul trouble, that's going to be really hard for Jimmy Butler to carry this team to where he needs them to go. So they're going to have to be really aggressive. They're going to have to find a way to get both of their bigs on the floor at the same time. And I think they're going to have to just scrap the zone altogether. And the reason I say that is towards the end of Game Four, LeBron figured out how to get into the paint, no matter what they were trying to do defensively, and he started getting to the foul line. If you look at the history of LeBron in closeout games, and you look at even just in these playoffs, every time that there's been a closeout game, LeBron has basically taken over the game. He's put the entire game on his shoulders. I have no doubt he's going to do it again tonight. He's going to find ways to get into the paint, and he's going to shoot free throws. And if LeBron's getting into the paint, and he's collecting fouls and going to the line, and he's able to get guys from Miami in foul trouble, they have zero chance to win this game. They have to find ways to keep LeBron out of the paint if they want to win this game.
Well, another thing is, if you put Olynyk on the floor, and if Bam plays well, Anthony Davis is going to have to guard one of them. So that means he can't guard Jimmy Butler. The fact that you were able to put Jimmy Butler, have him be guarded by Anthony Davis, shows the lack of consistent offense from the other guys. Now, I would beg to differ with you at the point that Tyler Hero played a great game in Game 4. And I felt like he made a lot of big shots, awful shots, but he made them. I would say Bam definitely did not play the way he was playing before the injury. I mean, you're injured, it is what it is, but you have to come out and you have to play hard. It's win or go home. Also, I do think that the two bigs would help out a lot. You would be taking a shooter off the floor, but that's fine because if you look at it, you only need to have Duncan Robinson in when you have the two bigs. So I think you need to establish Duncan Robinson because athletically he's getting beat by whoever he's guarding. And last game that was LeBron a lot. So if LeBron is going to be guarded by Duncan Robinson, yeah, he's going to get in the paint and get foul trouble and get someone in foul trouble. It's going to be Duncan Robinson. Yeah. That's pretty much the worst case scenario that Miami will want is Duncan Robinson guarding LeBron. So if you put him in with the two bigs, you have people behind him so somebody can swing over and be the help. That's going to stop him from getting into the lane. That's going to stop him from getting those easy buckets he was getting at the end of the game. But obviously, he would want to do that because that's going to help him do what he wants to do, which is be MVP. If he comes out and he has a monster game tonight, he obviously feels like he could put himself in the conversation for MVP. He wants that. That's not front. He wants that. He loves AD and, you know, he wants AD to shine. He wants AD to be the man, but he wants that MVP. And he knows he needs a monster game in the closeout game to be in consideration for that. Now, on the Miami side, you shoot well. Kendrick Nunn has played really well on the minutes that he's been on the floor. Heroes played some point guard as well. Jimmy's brought the ball down the floor a lot anyway, even when Dragic was in the game. So I think Dragic is the one loss that they can absorb and still have an opportunity. But if another one of their wing players goes down, they're in trouble. Anyone gets in foul trouble, they're going to be in trouble. I think Miami can beat LA for a game because they can get up and say they got them. So the thing works both ways. Everybody knows LA's wearing the Mamba jerseys because they feel like they're going to close out, right? Miami knows that. So they're not going to sit back and say, oh, no, LA has on the Mamba jerseys. We shouldn't go out and play. You got a lot of young guys there, prideful guys. You got Jimmy Butler. We'll talk trash to anybody. So you have guys who are going to be defiant and say, oh, you're coming out with your Mamba jerseys. So you think we just going to lay down for you because you got on your Mamba jerseys. Okay. That's motivation for the other team as well. So the thing about some of these psychological things, sometimes they backfire in that they don't give the desired result. Sometimes they do. We won't know that until 10:30, 11 o'clock tonight. But wearing those jerseys for the psychological advantage for you could also motivate this particular team to say, we feel disrespected. You know, they've been playing this card the whole series anyway. We feel disrespected. We're coming out to attack you. We're coming out to do everything we can to win this game and show you you're not going undefeated in those jerseys. Just because you wear them doesn't mean you're going to beat us. So that's where I see where Miami could come in. And that's why I say, in my opinion, it's a 50-50 game tonight. But I wouldn't be surprised if LA does close out. But I think Miami is going to be extra motivated because they know the reason that LA is wearing those jerseys.
Well, I'm going to say this. First of all, I don't think that LA is wearing the jerseys some psychological thing where they think that they're going to punk Miami into just laying down for them. I don't think that's it by any means. I don't think LA feels like they're somehow invincible wearing the Mamba jerseys. It's more for them. It's a little extra motivation for them. They don't really care how it affects the other team. And if Miami needs the extra motivation of saying, "Oh, we want to go out and beat them because no one's ever beat them in their Mamba jerseys," well, that's probably why you're down 3-1. If that's what it takes to get you up when you're on the verge of when you're down 3-1, you're on the verge of elimination. If the jersey the other team has on is what's going to put you over the top, that's why you down 3-1 in the first place.
Well, that could be your opinion, man. I don't share that. In sports, you use whatever you can for motivation. If somebody comes out and your team is green and they wear a green handkerchief around their neck when they come in the building, are you wearing my colors around your neck? Are you trying to disrespect us? You're using whatever you can to give yourself extra motivation.
I'm not saying they're not going to use. I'm not saying they're not going to use it. I'm just saying that that's not going to necessarily make a difference.
Well, this is a team that's very emotional. This is a team that's very gritty. This is a team that's all about hustle and energy. So them finding a way to give themselves extra motivation, that could work in their favor. Like I said, this is the one team that little extra motivation can make them play hard. I don't think you were going to get that out of a team like my team, Denver. You weren't going to get that out of a team like Houston. You weren't going to get that out of a team like Portland by the time you got to the end. They were just depleted with players. But this is a team that has shown that they're feisty, that their thing is whatever we can do. They have that football team kind of mentality. Whatever we can get is motivation. Whatever. If it means just because you're wearing those jerseys, if it means because you're talking like you feel like the series is over, if it means the media saying that we're not going to win any more games, all that's motivation. whatever it takes for each individual player that's going to hit that court on the Miami Heat to play the best tonight, that's what they need. If
Well,
that could be motivation for at least one other player or a little extra motivation for somebody, a little icing on top of the cake, you never know. But like I
we,
said, they could come out and fold. We don't know. But based on what we've seen from Miami, this should be a way better game than game four. Because to me, game four was close, but it wasn't an exciting game. It was kind of like whatever. You kind of felt that LA was going to win when you got to about a minute, minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. I know I saw the moment. I was thinking, yeah, LA won the game. I can't remember the exact moment now, but I know it was around like a minute and a half, 2 minutes left. I was like, yeah, this game's over. But this is a game that I think you're going to see a lot more intensity. You're going to see maybe a little jawing. You never know. But I think this will be exciting, and fans will get what they want, which is a closeout game possibility that's going to be very good. Oh, and I also read today China's lifted their ban. So a lot of people were talking about how the NBA hasn't put up the numbers that they normally put up. They were banned in China. They're not going to be banned tonight. The ban's lifted today. So you're going to be able to watch the NBA Finals Game 5, and if there's other games in China, that's going to boost those numbers and ratings that have been down. So I'm kind of excited about tonight.
yeah, and I will say this, man. I don't by any means think that LA is going to go out there and blow the doors off. I do think that it will be a very close game. I think that Miami will absolutely fight to the very end. Um, I mean, now to be fair, and I don't say this as an insult, I thought the same thing about Denver. That was a team that fought back from multiple 3-1 deficits. And I figured, game five of that series against us, that Denver was going to really come out there and push it to the limit. But by the time the fourth quarter rolled around, Denver was like, well, we're done.
Oh
So,
man, they lost Jamal Murray. You
yeah,
lose one of your stars,
yep,
you get deflated when you don't have other guys that you can put in to say, you know what, Jamal Murray's gone down. I'm gonna make this my game for this game.
yeah.
You don't have that.
So I,
So
I didn't expect it to happen with them. I don't expect it to happen with Miami. I do think that there will be a game that will go down to the end. But you talk about those extra motivational things. Don't forget now, LA is the same way. LA is going to also look for all these things. They've been doing it all playoffs themselves. Anthony Davis walking around, I should have been the defensive player of the year. LeBron's, I should have been the MVP. These guys are walking around looking for any excuse they can to put an extra chip on their shoulder. And I saw something that LeBron said earlier that I thought was just an interesting quote where he was talking about how in closeout games, his whole thing is he wants to go into the game desperate. He wants to be just as desperate as the team he's trying to close out. He wants to be just as desperate as the coaching staff, the staffers, all the players on the other team. He wants to match their level of desperation. And so we talk about guys being motivated or extra motivated. I think both teams are gonna be extra motivated. I think both teams are gonna look for every little thing they can to get themselves hyped up. Should be a great game.
here's my last comment. LeBron doesn't have any other way to motivate himself anymore than he has now. There's nothing that happened between Game Four today that's going to motivate LeBron anymore. There's nothing that's happened between Game Four today that's going to motivate Anthony Davis. The difference is going to be the rest of the team, right? How's Kuzma going to play today? How's Ken Pope going to play today? How's Danny Green going to play today? How's Dwight Howard going to play when he plays? Those are the questions. Those people. We
I
know
can,
LeBron and Anthony Davis are going to come out and put up at least 60 points together without a doubt. We know Jimmy Butler's going to come out in this game and put up at least 30 points without a doubt. So we know between those three guys, the superstars on those two teams, we're going to get 30. They're going to get 30 apiece probably.
I
But the
know, I
question
know.
is everyone else. The
I,
guys on the Lakers, yeah, they're veterans. Some of them have won rings before, but could there be a lapse? Them, because they know, hey, even if we lose, there's more games. Could they not come out just as hungry as LeBron? LeBron's going to tell them to be, clearly. But once they're on the floor, once they're playing, are they going to be the same? That's going to be the difference. And that's where I say the extra motivation from Miami, because Jimmy has that locker room voice. Haslam's going to be over in the ear barking. So for one game, now don't get me wrong, there's no part of me that's saying that the Lakers are going to lose this series. But for one game, Miami could do it. It doesn't mean they will. They may come out and lay down. We don't know until we see them out there. All those young guys could finally choke because we really haven't seen a game where they played to their experience. So that could be tonight. We don't know. But what I can say is I do believe this game is a 50-50 game. But I wouldn't be surprised if LA comes out and whacks them, or if LA comes out and Bradley wins the series tonight. If not, I think they'll win the next game. Pretty much that simple.
Yeah, I feel you. I will say that there are some petitions out there that will pretty much take that Danny Green is not going to step up tonight.
Some out there would say Kyle Kuzma isn't either.
Yeah, but to be fair, Kyle Kuzma has at least had a couple games in this series where he's put up some points. So
Well, Green's hurt, right? I mean, he was limping
he is.
around.
He is.
So I mean,
Yeah, he's got his he injured his hip, so I don't know what the severity of that is, but it's clearly impacted him. I think outside of LeBron and AD, the two guys that have been the most consistent that LA is going to really depend on tonight is going to be Rondo and KCP, and they're going to hope that they can get a little something out of some other guys like Morris, Kuzma, Dwight. They're going to hope that those guys can come in, hit a couple of shots, like a couple of. Oh yeah, well I mean of course Caruso, man, come on. That's the goat, man. Come on.
According to them now, he is. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Caruso's funny because he's actually like one of those role players that just has this like bigger than he should following, but he doesn't suck. He's actually good. Usually when you have that, the guy's not good, then everybody's like overhyping. Caruso's actually a good basketball player. Now he's not near the level what his
I mean, you gotta have
he's
a
at
Caruso type guy on your team.
yeah he's not to the level of his legend, but he's a solid player, man.
Definitely. But yeah, man. So as everyone can see, I have on my alternate Braves hat today. Celebration for my boys breaking through and finally making it to the National League Championship game for the first time in a long time. I'm not going to say the exact amount of years. I'm just going to say it's been a while.
In a minute.
So use that to just bounce, talk a little quick baseball. So we've only got one series that's still going, and that's Tampa Bay and the Yankees. The Yankees won the first game. Tampa Bay won the next two games. So they'll have a deciding game before we'll have everything set.
You're missing a game there.
No, I'm not missing the game.
They're playing game 5 right now.
Oh yeah, they must be tied. They're 2-2 then, because they're playing game 5. They're 2-2.
I do have a political education, man, but you know.
Well, when I looked earlier, it did say that it just showed me the info for the first 3 games as if they were on game 4.
I got you.
Because the other series were done pretty quickly. So the Dodgers beat the Padres. The Braves beat the Marlins, swept them. It's the first time the Marlins have lost in the playoffs, and they got swept. And then the Astros beat the A's. So we have those 3 teams set. So now we're just waiting for the winner of the Rays and Yankees, and that'll set up that American League Championship Series. And the National League, we're going to have the Braves and the Dodgers. Braves have really relied on pitching. They relied on good fielding and timely hitting to get to where they're at. The Dodgers are a good team every year. I mean, we don't need to go into too many details for anyone that actually watches baseball or follows it in any way, shape, or form. We know the Dodgers are a team that's good every year. They don't mind putting the money into getting the right players. And, you know, they're always a difficult out. So that'll be an interesting series once that starts. Houston's a good team. They feel like they're on some sort of mission this year to prove the naysayers wrong, is what I read earlier. So we'll see how that goes. And it'll be able to kind of decide how things are going to go once we know who they're going to play. So once that series is over, then, like I said, everything will be locked. We'll start the league championship series for both ones. So next week we'll be able to hopefully talk about at least who looks like they're going to the World Series, and then we'll be getting to the championship in Major League Baseball as well. Do you have anything you want to add to the baseball?
So, you know, the thing that's interesting to me is when looking at this Braves and Dodgers series, I've been kind of following just a little bit. I'm not a huge baseball person, but I did say that if I were going to root for a baseball team, I guess that would be the one Atlanta team I would root for. Being here in Atlanta, I don't root for any of the other local teams. So I feel like the last few years, every time I've heard, the Braves make the playoffs, and then they just go out in the first round and they suck. And it's just been disappointment after disappointment for the fan base here in Atlanta. And so this year, I don't necessarily know that people had great expectations. I actually heard a lot on the Atlanta radio here constantly about the lack of pitching depth that the Braves had and how, they have some good prospects, but they don't actually have guys on the roster who they really can count on. And so I think going into the playoffs, especially with this format of playing games every single day and not be able to go out there and put the same guys out there over and over, I think that's been something that people thought would be a great challenge for the Braves. But correct me if I'm wrong on this, but they've only allowed points in one game. They've actually pitched four shutouts out of the 5 games they played. The concern to me for the Braves is they've only scored 24 runs in those five games. Now people might be like, well, 24 runs, that's it's pretty good for 5 games. The 12 then came in one game, which means outside of that one game, you're only averaging about 3 runs per game. So the question in this Dodgers series is going to be, can your pitching keep up the pace that they've actually managed to do to this point? Or is the Dodgers offense going to be too good? Because basically the Dodgers are going to look at this like, hey, if we can put up 3 to 5 runs per game, we got a good chance of winning these games. So that's what's going to be interesting to see. Can the Dodgers get the offense, or can the Braves pitching actually slow down the offense enough to win those games? So it should be a good series. Be interested to see, and I guess I'll pull for the Braves to make it to the World Series.
Well, I mean, they've done a lot of ball placement. They're doing a lot of helping get the play to a ground out or pop up out. So that's important too to look at that they've been able to when the ball has been put in play because you're not going to have all no hitters, one hitters. You're going to have some games where you're going to have to make some plays. They've been able to make the plays. Um, they've been able to get the right fielding plays to go and things of that nature, which is what's helped get them there.
Yeah.
If you can put up a couple of runs and you have a solid defense and your pitching staff is holding up, and at this point, with the way the season has been, it would be difficult for me to expect any team to not kind of have an idea of their rotation, what they want to do, and how they're going to use their pitching. Because,
Yeah.
like you said, you are going out there every night, but you got to keep in mind, so is every other team. The Dodgers, they do score more runs, but they do give up more runs as well.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things where you're going to have a strength of offense with the Dodgers and a defense that can make some plays and decent pitching against pitching that's been very well represented in the playoffs against timely hitting and great fielding. So you kind of have strength versus strength, weakness versus weakness, okay versus okay. So it's going to be interesting to see. Definitely, of course, Braves are obviously who I'm going for, but just to see it get to this point of the year and see the teams that are able to handle this with as little injuries as possible. I know back when this started, and I'll just make this real quick. But I know back when it started, I read a couple of articles that were saying the Braves are built for this. They're young. They have a lot of arms that they can throw out. Guys that when they're put in positions where they just do what you got to do, you don't have time to think about it. You don't have time to worry about it. They should be able to get it done. Offensively, they've got some guys that can pound the ball out when it needs to happen. They're also great fielding. They also have a good mind for the game. So I think you're in a situation where Atlanta has they have all the ingredients that it takes to win a World Series this year. If they're able to do that or not, we don't know yet. But being that they're one of the last 4 teams, clearly they're doing something right to be able to be here. And, kudos to all 3 teams that have made it so far. And I will be interested to see actually who's going to win between New York and Tampa Bay. I'll probably check into that after this. while you were watching the Lakers game.
Yeah, I actually did peek at the score. So 1-1 in the top of the sixth. So pretty tight game.
Yeah, it could be another 3 hours before the game's over. You never know about baseball.
I know, right? That's part of the reason why I can't watch, man. So we are almost already at the way. We are over halfway through the show at this point. We're a little past the halfway point. So real quick, before we jump into this NFL discussion, which is going to probably dominate the entire last half of the show here, I do want
Yes,
to
sir.
send a huge congrats out to the Seattle Storm on winning the WNBA championship. They uh they did exactly what we thought they should do. We talked about it last week that they should be able to go out there, that they could even sweep the series. They went out there and handled their business. So congrats to them.
Absolutely. So I do have the updated schedule to an extent, as we know so far for the NFL. So we'll hop back, talk about last week. If there's anything that stood out to you, throughout the games last week, we'll do a quick recap, and then we'll hop into the games for this week. Starting next week, of course, probably won't have NBA, so we'll only be talking NFL. Probably something about the World Series. Of course, we'll be covering that. And then get a little bit more into college basketball. We're starting to get a little bit into the meat and potatoes of college football, excuse me. So we'll be getting into that a little bit next week as well. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for that, everyone. So last week, we'll start off with the Sunday games. First one we had was Cincinnati and Jacksonville. Cincinnati did what I expected them to do and won the game. I mean, Jacksonville can put up points, but that team's in disarray. They've lost a lot. They just can't hang anymore.
Yeah.
So, not surprised that happened. Cleveland and Dallas. Dallas is in the worst division in the NFL. We talked about it last week. They lost. We could gloat about it for an hour, but they lost.
Yep.
Gave up 49 points and they lost. New Orleans and Detroit. Actually, a much better game than I anticipated it being. New Orleans did get the win, but Detroit showed a lot of life. And, they may have convinced me that there may be a few games that I thought that they wouldn't win it. They may be able to hang in. Then we had Seattle and Miami. They went about as I expected. Just to be honest, Miami was able to put up some points, but Seattle was the better team. They were, and they'll be in most of their games this year. And they were able to do what they needed to do and win. Tampa, Tom, and the Rams. So Tom had a monster second half. I believe he threw 5 touchdowns. Like it was just a monster second half. I see that as something he can do from time to time at this point in his career. But as we saw on Thursday, it's not something he can do consistently anymore.
Yeah.
That's not a knock. That's age catching up to everybody.
Yeah. And not to take away from what the Bears defense is doing this year because it's been very impressive. But
Yeah.
part of that is definitely Father Time, and you mentioned the New Orleans game being closer than expected, and I think a lot of that's because Father Time clearly caught the Drew Brees this year as well.
Yeah, Drew Brees is not the same guy anymore. He's still better than a lot of quarterbacks, but he's not Drew Brees we saw the last couple of years for sure.
Right.
When we get to Baltimore and the football team, I don't really say much about that. Baltimore, who actually the Eagles play not this week but next week, clearly the dominant team, the better team, and they did what they needed to do.
So
one thing I wanted to talk about while we have the football team up is Dwayne Haskins threw for 314 yards. Didn't have a touchdown, but clearly that was because of running the ball. But 314 yards and he was benched. I don't have a problem with his benching if it leads to who I believe should be playing the quarterback position there, which is Alex Smith.
Yep.
But I guess you have to go to Kyle Allen first, just because you may want to give Alex Smith another week or two being active and making sure that he's comfortable with actually stepping back on the field and playing again. But I think at some point, if you want any chance to win and you need to do it rather soon, you're going to want to get Alex Smith in there. It's a little disheartening to see them give up on Haskins this soon. I know there's some reports I read that there were some issues with him in regards to the study and different things like that. But you always hear those things in my mind when a quarterback gets benched, right? You don't hear these things when they're playing. You don't hear these things when he's going out and throw for 314 yards. He had some good games last year. Um, he had a good game against the Eagles the first game of the season. But it seems like once the player, whoever it is, gets benched, it's like you start to hear all these negative stories. No one wants to say such and such said it or such and such said it, but you hear all these stories about the person didn't do this and the person didn't do that.
Yeah.
So I just simply say that hopefully that young man gets an opportunity. I saw some flashes in him, but I think not having the ability to sit and watch someone else play and be groomed may have affected him. Everyone's not Lamar Jackson, because keep in mind, Mahomes didn't play for you. He sat and watched Alex Smith.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like to lay it out there like Mahomes just came in, started playing, and was an MVP candidate. He sat for a year. He didn't see the field because Alex Smith didn't give that job up until he left. So that's kind of something you want to keep in mind. Some guys need that mentoring and some guys don't. And maybe he's a guy that needs that mentoring. Maybe if he can get that, we can see a better Dwayne Haskins with the football team or somewhere else.
Yeah. My thing is, like you, I don't have an issue with the fact that they're actually benching Haskins. I mean, he's, like you said, he's had a couple games here and there, but he's clearly not at a point right now where he gives them the best chance to win. With that said, I I don't see how anybody could lead Kyle Allen is either, because it kind of goes back to what we said with New England. Everybody questioned all summer long when we got on the show, and we said over and over and over, there's no way that the New England Patriots believe that Jarrett Stidham is the answer. Well, when Cam Newton had to be out, we all saw that Jarrett Stidham clearly was not the answer. And the thing that I find so funny about it is Kyle Allen was the quarterback in Carolina last year. He won a couple of games, but then as soon as there was some film on him, all of a sudden he wasn't good anymore. And he never bounced back from that. So why Ron Rivera, who knows exactly what happened to him in Carolina, why he's willing to put his confidence in him? If Alex Smith just wasn't ready to come in and take over yet, if he's not ready to get back on the field yet, then just leave Haskins in there. Just leave Haskins until you get a chance to get Alex Smith. It's one thing if Haskins is playing really bad in a game and you bring Kyle Allen in late in the game to see if you can get an offensive spark. That's fine, but you don't do that. You don't just bench a guy and make somebody else a starter, and then you move him to the third string with that. You didn't even make him the backup. You moved him to the third string. So I really don't know. Like you, I hope that this is not something that negatively impacts Haskins' confidence. Hopefully, this is something that he takes in stride and uses as motivation to get better and comes back. And whether he gets another opportunity there in Washington or somewhere else, hopefully he'll be ready for that when the opportunity comes.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, this is a guy who Kyle Allen last year. Quickly, I just wanted to quickly pull up his touchdowns and interceptions.
You
He
live
had
in
17 touchdowns and 16 interceptions
Look, I was gonna say you live in Carolina, so you were forced to
in
watch this dude.
2019.
Yeah, you were forced to watch this dude, so you know.
And then the fumbles. This guy's a turnover machine.
Mm-hmm.
And, unless you found a way to get him with some quarterback guru who's fixed those issues, you might as well have left Dwayne Haskins in. But hey, Ron Rivera is doing whatever he thinks is best. Outside looking in, don't see how it could be the best, but it's a decision that he makes, and he's going to have to live with it. So,
Yeah.
good luck with that one, Riverboat Ron. Ooh, boy. I wish I was playing the football team this weekend with Kyle Allen back there, boy. If you have the defense of whoever the football team is playing this week, and we'll get to that in a few minutes, you may want to start them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure They're gonna have a good day. Um, all right, we'll go on to Arizona and Carolina. My shock of the week, honestly, Carolina was able to beat Arizona, and by 10 points, solid win. Um, and it's not a knock on Carolina at all, but I feel Arizona is a really good team. Just shocked that they didn't play as well in that game against Carolina, especially with Carolina being without their starting running back. But they found a committee that works for them in the meantime. I mean, obviously it's not McCaffrey, but you don't replace McCaffrey. You can't afford to have another McCaffrey sitting behind McCaffrey. So they've been able to do pretty well, and Teddy Bridgewater seems to be coming along, man. He's a guy that started before, and he seems to be coming along. So really impressed with the way they're playing.
Yeah.
Minnesota and Houston, as we said, Minnesota's not good, but Houston's horrible. And along those lines, he's gone.
Bob is gone.
He has been released, and all reports after things happen lead to a disagreement with Mr. J.J. Watt as the determining factor of the last straw in him being gone. So DeAndre Hopkins has a problem with him. Let him ship DeAndre Hopkins off. J.J. Watt has a problem with him. You fire him in the middle of the season. I'm just gonna leave that there.
Yeah, I'm not going to speculate on any of that because we don't know exactly what happened behind the scenes. But I will just say this: if J.J. Watt managed to get Bill O'Brien fired, then he's a better GM than Bill O'Brien was.
Oh, we know what happened. It's actually pretty much came out what happened. In case you haven't had a chance to read on it, I've been following this story for curiosity. So, in practice, the day before he got fired, actually going back to the game last week, he had a heated discussion with J.J. Watt and the defensive coordinator. Then after this past game, in practice, I believe it was Monday, they had another heated discussion. Basically, the locker room turned completely on Bill O'Brien. Should have did that before the trades that were allowed to happen, and they had to let go of him. There wasn't a way that they were going to be able to salvage the season if he stayed as the coach of that team. Like I said a few minutes ago, doing it after you get rid of DeAndre Hopkins and get the weak, meager returns you got, after that Laramie Tunsil trade they made, that was really lopsided in favor of the other team. You made a couple of bad trades. You got rid of a very important piece, and you didn't replace it because you can't replace a top-tier wide receiver like that.
Yeah.
Now you're gone. And it seems to be the argument with the defensive coordinator, J.J. Watt, was the catalyst for your fire. So my thing is just, But whatever it takes to get Billy O'Brien out of there, because I don't want to see Deshaun Watson suffer for another 4 or 5 years with an idiot GM and a horrible head coach. So I'm glad he's gone. And maybe if he goes somewhere else and O'Brien's just the coach, he'll be fine. But I will say this: if you bring that dude in, do not give him any power because he's shown that he can't handle that. He destroyed the Houston team.
I wouldn't even allow Bill O'Brien to choose his starters.
Like, look, this is the players. Shut up and play them. I'll let you do the plays. That's it.
Look, I don't even know if you. Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Giants and the Rams. Rams had, not a great offensive game, but they were playing the Giants, so you got to do too much to win that one. Colts in Chicago was a little bit of a shocker for me. I think I did pick the Colts to win, but just the fact of how low scoring the game was, and the fact that that Colts defense is for real.
Yeah.
If you got to see that defense this year, it's not going to be a good game for you probably statistically, and you may not be able to get a win.
Yeah.
Buffalo and Vegas. Buffalo was able to get the win. Josh Allen is playing very impressively.
Yep.
Took me a few weeks just to see, but Josh Allen is real.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying he's an MVP candidate, but he's a legit starting quarterback, and he's showing it week after week. So kudos to him. And Derek Carr is not a piece of trash at all. So you go out there and you outplay him, even though Carr had a few more yards, but you outplay him and you get the win, you've done something. So kudos to Josh Allen for that. And of course, we had the Eagles and 49ers, the battle of the injured teams. We were able to, slide out with a win. Took until the last play to actually solidify the win. Just happy to get out with a win. Not really too much to talk about.
I
Nothing
will.
spectacular either way.
I will actually talk about one thing from this game. I was looking at an article earlier, and it's something I had not really noticed personally on film, but I thought was a very interesting point. So, a guy who does a lot of good for us is Eric Armstead. We signed him last off season, to a big extension. That was part of us trading Buckner because we could afford to pay both of them. And while he's a guy who does a lot, he gets a lot of sacks. He has double digit sacks every year. The problem is he's very aggressive. And they pointed out about 5 or 6 times in the game where Carson Wentz was rolling out and there was an opportunity there to sack him. But the thing is, Carson Wentz is a pretty elusive guy. He's kind of hard to bring down. So rather than being smart and making a quarterback who is literally throwing to guys he doesn't even know their names, making him stand in the pocket and throw the ball, Armstead, of course, went after him. He missed. Then Wentz gets outside. And of course, you give anybody, even with no name receivers, 7, 8 seconds to be able to throw the football, somebody's going to get open. So that's something I'm going to be looking for this week. I'm going to be really paying attention specifically to Armstead and seeing, is he overrunning? Is he over pursuing on the ball? And I don't think we're going to really be seeing too much quarterback running this week per se. But just going forward, it will be something interesting to watch and see. Because I was talking about that all last year. And for whatever reason, we really struggle with mobile quarterbacks where we're not containing the pocket. And so I just thought it was interesting. So I'll be curious to watch and see, is he really the key problem in
Then Monday we had New England and Kansas City. Um, New England really missed Cam Newton. I think if he would have been able to play, the COVID news broke after the show last week. But I think if he would have been able to play, we may have had a different outcome. But Kansas City came alive in the second half. New England didn't have anything at quarterback. Can't win without a good quarterback. So Kansas City was able to, take advantage and do what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Green Bay and Atlanta. Atlanta actually put up lower numbers than I expected. Green Bay a little bit lower than I expected, but game turned out exactly how I expected it to. To be completely 100% honest, Atlanta was not going to beat Green Bay. Atlanta hasn't been beating anyone, so no surprise there. Anyone that is slightly surprised has not been paying attention to what's been going on, and I'm sorry for you. That pretty much sums up last week. We did momentarily speak about the Chicago Tampa Bay game. I'll simply say this: Tom Brady, you pulled a J.R. Smith, and the internet's been having fun with you all day. But it's actually a pretty exciting game just because it was so tight. You never knew who was going to make a big play or a big mistake. So, pretty fun to watch. Ronald Jones had 100 yards. Didn't expect that. So, it was something.
Yeah.
And then we'll hop into the games this week. We'll start with the games that so far are scheduled for Sunday. And that's what I'm going to be saying the rest of the year just because we never know.
Right.
But as of now, Carolina is playing Atlanta. In Atlanta, because of how putridly Atlanta has been playing, I'm going to go with anybody over Atlanta unless they're playing the Giants or the Jets. Then I have to think about it for a minute. So I'm going to go Carolina.
I think that's fair, man. I'm going to go Carolina too.
Yep. Then we have Vegas and Kansas City. So I saw a lot of chinks in the Chiefs' armor against New England. So one of the things that I'm a big believer in is once the chinks are shown, other teams can take advantage. But as of now, I don't believe that Ruggs is playing. I know Waller's a little banged up. So if I have to choose right now, I'm going to say Kansas City slightly. But if Waller is cleared, healthy to play, and he does play, Jacobs is fine, and they get Ruggs back, who is that guy that can stretch the field and make big plays. If they're all playing, I would be comfortable picking the Raiders.
I don't think Kansas City's going to go undefeated, um, but I'm just not comfortable with what we know right now to pick against them. So I'm going to go Kansas City on this
We got Arizona and the Jets. You're playing the Jets, not the Giants or the Falcons. Arizona.
Yeah, not the Jets. That's my pick.
Yeah. Um, then we have Philadelphia at Pittsburgh. I'm going Philadelphia. Um, I think we're going to be able to do some of the things that we were able to do defensively. We made a few changes. We put in Kayvon Wallace, our rookie safety. He played really well, made some rookie mistakes. I'm fine with any mistake that a rookie makes. It is what it is. You got to get in the game to learn. I believe that we can find a way to win this game, and I believe we're going to win this game.
Yeah, I'm going to go Pittsburgh. You're not playing a backup quarterback this week, so I think Roethlisberger's still got just enough to be able to eke out a win on this one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means.
Yeah, some changes were made last week that they'll make a difference this week. But for time purposes, we're going to move on. So we've got the Rams playing the football team. Going to go Rams. They're in the middle of their NFC East destruction. So I'm going to go Rams.
Can't believe you're not picking Kyle Allen to win, man. Me either. Look, me either. I'm going with the Rams.
They may be the only other team outside of the other three I was mentioning that I have to think about. Then we got Cincinnati at Baltimore. Put it bluntly, Baltimore. Cincinnati should be able to make it good, but Baltimore.
I'm going to pick this as my upset pick. I'm actually going to go Cincinnati.
Well, I have to be honest. A little bit of the reason why I want Baltimore to win is I don't want them to come in next week pissed off because they used the Cincinnati. So, but I do think that they're the better team. They should win the game, seriously. But hey, never hurts.
Yeah.
Jacksonville and Houston. This is the first one I've had to really think about. I'm actually going to go to Houston. I think the jolt of getting rid of Billy O'Brien and Cornell taking over as the interim head coach, he's going to make enough changes to keep guys satisfied and maybe use his personnel better. And I think they'll be able to pull out a win just on that emotional high of getting rid of the guy that nobody wanted there anymore.
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree with you. I just think that there's going to be this nice carefree feeling in the building this week, and it's going to allow guys to go out there and play a little bit better.
Oh yeah, San Francisco and Miami. I'm gonna say San Francisco and a Titan.
So originally,
Nat Booty Titan.
yeah, originally I did tell you last week that I actually had a little bit of concern after we lost to y'all, but I just saw today that Jimmy G is officially going to be back and starting, so I feel much better about it now. San Francisco.
All right, then we got Indianapolis and Cleveland. Just got through talking about how that defense in Indianapolis is real, and Cleveland, probably riding a high with beating up on a bad team. But you're not playing a bad team this week. You're going to Indianapolis.
Yeah, I'm going to go Indianapolis too. Like you said, Cleveland looked really good last week, and Dallas has a really good defense. If this was 2013, but it's 2020, and so they don't.
And this next game, everybody pay attention. You're not going to hear me say this many times this year. We have the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas is a much better team than New York. So if you take that clip and ever use it, make sure that you take the entire clip and don't try to change anything. But Dallas is a much better team than the New York Giants. And I would be greatly surprised if Dallas does not thoroughly whop the Giants. If you have a fantasy skill position player for Dallas, this would be the week to play them because they may put up 700 yards this week.
So Eric says true right now, but go Giants.
Hey man, you got to stick with them. The bad years have to happen for the good years to happen. If you're always mediocre, you're never gonna win.
You know what, man? If there's one team out there that could find a way to blow a game against the Giants right now, it would be the Atlanta Falcons. And unfortunately, they're not playing them this week. They're playing the Dallas Cowboys. So unfortunately, I'm also going to have to go to the Dallas Cowboys.
Crazy, man. All right, then we got Minnesota at Seattle in the nightcap for Sunday. I'm gonna go Seattle. I don't think they'll go undefeated either, but Minnesota's not going to beat that team. They're not. If they do, I'll be highly surprised.
You know, I'm actually leaning towards Minnesota here, but at the same time, I can't count Russell Wilson out right now. He's just playing at such a high level, so I'm going to give Seattle the edge on this one just because of Russell Wilson.
MVP.
He's playing like it.
Now, Monday night, we have Denver and New England. As of now, I don't believe Cam is going to be playing. So you're going to have the battle of the backups. I believe the backups in Denver, if their starting quarterback can't go, are better than anything else that New England can put on the field, unless they can go find someone in the off and sign them and have them ready to play Sunday. So I'm going to go Denver just based off New England's a cluster cluck at quarterback, and you can't win if you don't have at least a quality quarterback.
Yeah, I'm gonna say if Cam is back, then New England wins this game easily.
Of course.
But if he's not there, I'm gonna go Denver.
Yeah, and all reports are that he won't be back. I have him in fantasy. There hasn't been a report that he's been able because you have to have the virus out of your system, and then you have to have 2 negative tests, and they're not back-to-back days. So he would have had to have already had 1 test.
Yeah.
Give that time, and then you have to have I think at least a day in between and take the other test. So no reports that he's taken a test yet. It was just reported last week, so I anticipate him being out this week and hopefully being able to get back for them for the games the week after. So I'm making my prediction based on, of course, Cam not playing.
Yeah.
We have the Rams in New Orleans. I'm actually going to go with the Rams. I think they're going to have enough offense, and we're going to be in the dome. I think without it being full, they may be able to have some fans in there, but it's not going to be full. So I feel like they're not going to have the home field advantage they normally have. Yeah. And I feel like the Rams are going to be able to pull this game
out. It's going to be a tight one, but I'm going to actually go New Orleans.
We also don't know if Michael Thomas will be back. I'm assuming because he's on my fantasy team and I need him to play that he probably won't play this week.
Are you playing me by any chance? Because if so, he will be.
It's not that league.
All right, what other games we got?
All right, so we got Tuesday. As of now, this is the only Tuesday game as of now. That's Tennessee and Buffalo. I'm going to have to go Buffalo because the amount of people that have tested positive for Tennessee, there's got to be some key players that are not going to be able to play this game if it does happen on Tuesday as it's playing. Yeah. So with that being the case, I'm going to have to go Buffalo because I do feel like they will be able to do enough to win this game. Maybe even if Tennessee was at full strength, but definitely in this current situation.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Buffalo, and I'm even going to go so far as to say that, and we'll kind of save this conversation for next week when we have more time to talk about it, but I really feel like there needs to be some punishment for Tennessee. Like, I understand you can't, necessarily force them to forfeit because the CBA that would prevent the other team from getting paid and all this other stuff. But they should be losing some draft picks or something as a result of this whole process, man, because they've just shown a blatant disregard for any of the protocols.
If they were a college team, they would be tried for lack of institutional control. Okay, because clearly no one there cares. I mean, there's been reports about this whole thing that they actually the people were told in the organization like, look, they're not following the rules. They need to follow these rules, and other organizations knew that it wasn't being enforced by management in Tennessee.
Yep.
They were supposed to be not practicing. Why is Tannehill out throwing the ball with Corey Davis and other receivers and stuff, and they're supposed to be at home quarantining
Yeah.
until they decide what's going to happen? And of course, Davis is one of the players that now has COVID and won't be playing.
Right.
So that kind of thing doesn't happen unless it's just organizationally a disregard for what the NFL is saying that you need to do. And you're going to pay for it. And I think for me, I hope they don't suspend the game any longer. I hope they make them play with whatever they have and just say, hey, you caused this. You're going to get out on this field. You're not going to stop the other team from being able to play.
Yeah.
And you're going to take this L.
So, one thing I would just say on this real quick is remind me again who did Mike Vrabel play for?
So,
Oh yeah, I said who did Mike Vrabel play for? Oh yeah, New England. Let's act shot.
We got one last game to talk about. It's going to be the Thursday game next week, and that's going to be Buffalo, Kansas City.
Nope, the game's been moved.
Well, as of now, it's showing as still being the Thursday game.
Nope, I saw earlier they because of the way that they had moved the other games back, they're actually moving that game to next Sunday.
Well, like I said, I'm just going off of what I'm seeing scheduled now, because when I looked through it was the updated one that had the other games changed for last week. So as of now, that's the Thursday game. So they officially changed it. Cool. We already have our predictions for it, but we'll just operate as if it's going to be the Thursday game for now. So I think this is a difficult game to choose. I think all jokes aside, if Kansas City does win or not this week, which I'm picking them to win to lose, I think that this game against Buffalo, whether it's played on Thursday as scheduled now or Sunday, I do believe that Buffalo's going to win.
Yeah, I think Buffalo is a team that can actually beat Kansas City. They've got a really good defense. They've got a pretty good running game. I think the quarterback situation allows them to really have that dual threat. So it allows them to both run and throw the ball, which obviously his ability to throw the ball this year has improved dramatically. But don't forget, last year where they had a lot of success was with him running the ball. So there's a lot of opportunity for them to control the clock and keep Kansas City's offense off the field, and that's how you beat a high-powered offense. You keep them on the field.
Well, and also, we got a New England player that had COVID, and Mahomes was high fiving him and talking to him and all that. So we know sometimes the virus incubates. We can find out between now and when Kansas City's supposed to play, whether it's Thursday or Sunday next week, that he has corona.
Well, man, if that comes out
there,
there,
wishing it on him. Don't get me wrong. I'm not wishing on anybody, but I'm saying based on what we know so far and what we've seen happen.
Yeah, if that happens, they'll definitely find a reason to postpone the game.
Yeah.
They want their golden. They want their golden boy out there.
I see a week 18 coming, man. I feel it. It's gonna be a week 18, best case scenario. I feel a week 18 coming.
I don't see a week 18 coming because I don't think we're making it to the first
17. Thanks to Tennessee, because Tennessee's making it hard for everybody.
Basically.
I'm just kind of shocked, man, at the lack of just like concern for everybody else. Like even if you don't care about yourself, you're playing other teams and dealing with families and kids, and I mean some of these players even have asthma, other things,
Yeah.
and you're putting them at risk, at a higher risk, man. So it's
It,
crazy.
even Bill O'Brien would think this was out of control, man. Let's
But
just
what
be
JJ Watt thinks out of control.
possibly.
Sounds like he's the decision maker.
He might be the decision maker, man.
You should have made the decision a long time ago. My beef with JJ Watt in this situation is you should have made the decision to get rid of that guy before you got rid of your best receiver. That's all I'm saying, JJ. If you had that kind of power, you should have used it, bro.
So, just a quick update for you. I got the Lakers game on my tablet, and I don't know exactly what's going on. I missed the play, but Anthony Davis is laying on the ground holding his right leg.
Well, that could definitely change some things.
Yeah. So,
for sure.
So that's hopefully nothing serious, but if it is, then you're going to have some other guys really step up tonight and really go ahead and get this thing closed out. It's just gonna put the extra emphasis on LeBron and some other guys to have to close this thing out if Anthony Davis is injured, because you do not want to you don't want the series going on without one of your best players on the court.
If you don't have Anthony Davis, because in my opinion he's the MVP. If they win tonight, in my opinion, Anthony Davis is the MVP because he's the guy that you haven't been able to really have an answer for.
Yeah,
guarding him, or he's pretty much been taking away Jimmy Butler is guarding him. So if you taking him off the floor, that could really change the fortunes of the Lakers for the rest of these playoffs.
Yeah. So and not in a good way whatsoever.
And plus, man, I mean, I don't like the Lakers, but I don't want to see the dude get hurt. I mean, he's been having a good year. He's finally on a team where he's getting the playoffs and being able to enjoy winning. I don't want the dude to get hurt.
That's not good. It's actually his ankle is grabbing at.
And that's the ankle that he's already hurt like twice, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, I didn't see anything that looked like an obvious twist or anything like that. So anytime somebody starts grabbing the ankle calf area, you automatically wear Achilles.
Yeah.
So
I hope it's all right, man.
Yeah.
I don't want that man to be hurt. Like to see a good solid game.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with it, man. But man, it is time for us to go ahead and wrap it up, anyways. So appreciate everybody tuning in tonight, and make sure that you guys hit the subscribe button down there in the bottom right hand corner so you'll always get notifications whenever we go live. And if you come to the page anytime, we do have several shows in advance. You'll see in the upcoming section, and you can click to get reminders. That way you'll always remember when we're coming on. So as
always, everybody, just if you can't catch it live, I get it. We're in the middle of a whole lot of sports, but the shows are here, man. Just come check them out. If you missed any shows, check them out. You can message us. We have a Facebook group. If you want to hop in there, talk about anything that you agree with, disagree with, that we talk about on the show. Suggestions for things for us to talk about. Hey, we're a community, man. Let's do it. We'd love to talk about whatever you guys would like to discuss. Just give us the info.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Well, man, with that, just want to go ahead and close it out and remind everybody that even the sun goes down.
And heroes eventually die.
Your horoscopes often lie.
But sometimes why?
Nothing is for show.
Nothing is for certain.
But until they close the curtain,
it's him and I.
Play callers. Y'all better know that.
From the QC to the ATL.
Yeah.
Nuggets finals next year. Count.
Be here next week, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Holla.